Ambassador stood before the Galactic Council for the last time. The massive chamber was filled with representatives from hundreds of worlds. They sat in their special seats, breathing different air, living under different gravity fields. The technology that made this possible had been designed by humans. Most of the aliens in the room did not know this. Adjusted his translator, another human invention that everyone took for granted. He looked at the faces staring at him. Some looked bored. Others looked annoyed that a human had requested speaking time. Nobody looked concerned. Honored members of the Galactic Council, began. His voice was calm and steady. I come before you today to deliver an official statement from the United Earth Government. Chancellor, the leader of the council, clicked his mandibles impatiently. His species had been part of the council for 3,000 years. They considered themselves the most important members. Yes, yes, Ambassador said. We are very busy today, make it quick. Did not react to the rudeness. He had dealt with it for 20 years. After 200 years of service to this council, humanity is formally withdrawing from all galactic institutions, effective immediately. The chamber fell silent for exactly 3 seconds. Then the laughter started. It began with his chittering laugh echoing through the chamber. Other council members joined in. The representative slapped his scaled knee. The ambassador's gills fluttered with amusement. High Arbiter Quinsha, an aquatic being who floated in a tank of water, did not laugh. She watched carefully with her large eyes. She had worked with humans for 50 years. She knew they did not make jokes about serious matters. Ambassador said when the laughter died down, this is obviously a negotiating tactic. What do you want? Better trade agreements? More council seats? Just tell us your demands. Shook his head. This is not a negotiation. This is a notification. All human personnel will be withdrawn from council facilities within 30 days. All human-operated systems will be shut down in an orderly fashion. All human contributions to council projects will cease. A counselor, her purple skin darkening with confusion, spoke up. But who will maintain the translation networks? Who will coordinate the trade routes? That is no longer humanity's concern, replied. You will need to find others to do this work. Some amusement faded. He leaned forward in his seat. Ambassador, you are being ridiculous. Humans have always been adequate at support tasks, but you are not critical to the council's function. You are replaceable. Had expected this. He had written a speech for this moment, a long list of human achievements, a detailed explanation of everything humans did for the council. But standing there, looking at the dismissive faces, he decided those words would be wasted. We have grievances, he said simply. For 200 years, humans have contributed to this council. We have given our technology, our labor, our expertise. We have asked for little in return, but we have been treated as servants, not partners. Servants, the ambassador's voice was sharp. We have given you access to galactic trade. We have shared our knowledge. You should be grateful. Smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Grateful. Yes. We were told to be grateful when our medical team saved billions during the Sector 7 plague. We were told to be grateful when our engineers prevented the Nexus Station collapse. We were told to be grateful when our peacekeepers stopped 12 wars. Those were your duties as council members, said. And when other species did 1/10 of that work, they received medals and honors, continued. When they created a new alloy, they were celebrated as geniuses. When humans created the faster-than-light communication system, it was called a modest achievement. When diplomats negotiated a trade deal, they were praised. When humans prevented a system-wide war, it was called doing your job. The chamber was quiet now. Some counselors looked uncomfortable, others looked angry. You have made a mistake, Ambassador, said coldly. Humanity needs the council more than the council needs humanity. Without galactic trade, Earth will suffer. Without council protection, you will be vulnerable. I suggest you reconsider this foolish decision. Gathered his papers, he had heard enough. We have reconsidered many times over the past 50 years. Each time we hoped things would improve. They did not. This decision is final." He turned to leave, then paused. "One more thing. My colleague, Captain, is beginning the withdrawal process as we speak. All human personnel at Council facilities have been ordered to cease work and return home. All human-operated systems will be transferred to Council control. I wish you the best of luck." "Wait," Quinza said. It was the first time she had spoken. "Ambassador, please, can we not discuss this? Surely we can find a solution." Looked at her. He saw genuine concern in her eyes. She at least understood that something was wrong, but it was too late. "High Arbiter, I have spent 20 years discussing. I have written reports. I have made proposals. I have asked for simple recognition of humanity's contributions. Every request was ignored or dismissed. There is nothing left to discuss." He walked toward the exit. Behind him, the council erupted into argument. Some called for sanctions against Earth. Others insisted this was just human drama. A few, like Quinza, sat in worried silence. As the doors closed behind, called for order. "Enough! This is clearly a temporary tantrum. The humans will be back within a solar cycle. They cannot function without us. In the meantime, we will show them they are not as important as they think." Meeting adjourned. The councilors filed out, most of them already forgetting about the human announcement. There were more important matters to attend to. Across the station, Captain stood in the main operations center. Around her, 200 human technicians worked at their stations. They controlled everything from life support to communications to station defense. "Attention all personnel," announced. "Withdrawal order is confirmed. Begin shutdown procedures. We depart in 72 hours." The technicians began their work. They had prepared for this moment for months. Every system had a shutdown plan. Every piece of human technology had a manual for the aliens who would inherit it. Nobody rushed. Nobody panicked. Humans did their work properly, even when that work was leaving. In his quarters recorded a final message to Earth. "Ambassador reporting. Withdrawal announced. Council response as expected. They do not believe we are serious. They will learn." He paused, then added, "They have forgotten what we do for them. In a few months they will remember. I almost feel sorry for them." Almost, but not quite. The council had made its choice long ago. Now they would live with the consequences. 3 months had passed since the humans left. Director Shin sat in her apartment on Earth, drinking tea and reading reports. She had spent 30 years managing the Galactic Communication Network. Now she watched it fall apart from the comfort of her home. Her communication device chimed. Another message from the council. She counted them. This was the 47th request for her to return. She deleted it without reading. On Nexus Station, Counselor stared at his message terminal with growing panic. He had sent a simple trade proposal to the 3 hours ago. It should have taken 10 seconds to arrive. The reply should have come within minutes. He was still waiting. He called the communications center. A technician answered. "Yes, Counselor." "Where is my message? I sent it 3 hours ago." The technician checked his screens. "It is in the queue. Current delay is approximately 4 hours for all outgoing messages." 4 hours? That is unacceptable. Fix it." "We are trying, Counselor. The system is very complicated. The humans left manuals, but they are difficult to understand." Or wanted to scream. Instead, he took a deep breath. "Where are the humans who ran this system?" "They went home, Counselor, all of them." "Then hire them back." "We have tried. They refuse all offers." Or ended the call. 4-hour delays. In a galaxy where business happened at the speed of light, this was a disaster. His trade deal would be dead before the message even arrived. He was not the only one with problems. In the medical bay, a doctor named struggled with a patient. The patient was suffering from plasma shock. The treatment was simple for human doctors. They had done this procedure thousands of times, but I had never learned. Why would she? Human doctors were always available. She checked the medical database. It was there, written in clear instructions, but the instructions assumed knowledge she did not have, technical terms she did not understand, steps that seemed obvious to humans but made no sense to her. The patient's vital signs weakened. A called for help. 3 other doctors came. None of them knew what to do. They had all depended on human expertise. By the time they figured out the procedure, it was too late. The patient died on the table, the first of many. In the station maintenance sector, engineers' replacement discovered a serious problem. The environmental systems were failing. Temperature controls were erratic. Air circulation was weakening. Water recycling was producing contaminated water. The replacement engineer, a named On, had been confident he could do a human's job. How hard could it be? Humans were not special. They were just support staff. Now, standing in front of a wall of blinking red lights, On realized he had been wrong. Very wrong. He pulled up the maintenance logs, hundreds of entries. Every day, human engineers had performed dozens of small adjustments. They had prevented problems before they happened. They had kept systems running smoothly through constant, invisible work. On had thought maintenance meant fixing things when they broke. He had not realized it meant preventing them from breaking in the first place. He tried to follow the procedures, but each system connected to 10 others. Fixing one problem created 3 more. The humans had understood how everything worked together. On only understood individual parts. Within a week, entire sections of the station had environmental failures. Residents had to evacuate to emergency shelters. On worked 20-hour days and fell further behind. The problem spread beyond the station. Trade routes that had run smoothly for decades fell into chaos. Human logistics coordinators had managed the complex dance of thousands of ships, millions of cargo containers, billions of transactions. They had made it look easy. Without them, ships arrived at wrong destinations. Cargo was lost or stolen. Delivery schedules collapsed. 3 shipping companies went bankrupt in the first month. The economic damage was enormous, but it was nothing compared to what came next. The Empire and the Confederacy had an old dispute over mining rights. For 50 years, human diplomats had carefully managed the tension. They had negotiated small compromises. They had prevented misunderstandings. They had kept both sides talking. Now there were no human diplomats. The 2 sides tried to negotiate directly, but the translation algorithms were failing. A phrase meaning, "we respectfully disagree," was translated as, "we spit on your offer." A diplomatic courtesy was translated as a serious insult. Within days, both sides mobilized their fleets. War seemed inevitable. High Arbiter Quinshaw worked desperately to prevent it. She brought both sides together for emergency talks, but without proper translation, every conversation made things worse. Technical specialists tried to fix the algorithms, but they were built on human linguistic theory that nobody else fully understood. The war was prevented at the last moment by Quinshaw's personal intervention. But 3 smaller conflicts were not so lucky. Species that had lived in peace for generations went to war over mistranslated treaties and misunderstood messages. Chancellor watched his galaxy fall apart. He sat in his office, mandibles clicking nervously, reports piled up on his desk. Communication failures, medical emergencies, environmental disasters, economic collapse, political tensions. All within 3 months. His assistant, a young named Al, entered with more bad news. "Chancellor, the delegation is here. They are very upset." "What do they want?" "They want us to force the humans to return. There is a disease outbreak on there, 30 million infected. Their doctors cannot control it. They need human medical expertise." "Felt sick, 30 million. What did you tell them?" "I said we would try, But Chancellor, the humans are not responding to our messages. We have sent hundreds. They ignore them all. Stood and walked to his window. Below he could see the station's central plaza. Usually it was crowded with beings from across the galaxy, doing business, sharing culture, building relationships. Now it was half empty. Many species had recalled their representatives. Trade was down 70%. The galactic economy was in. "How did this happen?" he said quietly. "They were just support staff, just background workers. How could their absence cause this much damage?" Al hesitated, then spoke carefully. "Perhaps, Chancellor, they were more important than we realized." His mandibles clicked in anger. "Do not be ridiculous. Humans are capable, yes, but they are not special. Any species could do what they did. Then why has nobody been able to replace them?" The question hung in the air, had no answer. Across the galaxy on Earth sat in a meeting with other former Council workers. They reviewed the latest reports from Council space. Communications down, trade collapsed, medical crisis, wars starting. "Should we help them?" someone asked. A young technician named who still felt loyalty to his former alien colleagues. Shook her head. "We tried to help them for 200 years. They treated us like servants. They took credit for our work. They dismissed our concerns. Now they can learn to help themselves." "But people are dying," said. "People were dying before and we saved them," replied. "We saved billions. Did they thank us? Did they honor us? No, they said we were doing our job. Well, it is not our job anymore." The room fell silent. They all knew she was right, but it still hurt to watch the galaxy burn. His device chimed again. Another message from the Council. This one from Counselor or personally. She read it. "Please, Director Shin, we need you. The communication network is dying. I was wrong to dismiss your importance. Please come back, name your price." Almost felt sorry for him. Almost. She composed a short reply. "Counselor or, thank you for your message. Unfortunately, I am enjoying my retirement. I suggest you promote one of your technical staff to my former position. I am sure any species could do what humans did. Best wishes, Shin." She sent it and went back to her tea. Outside her window, Earth was peaceful and prosperous. All the resources that had gone to supporting the Council were now invested at home. Earth had made more progress in 3 months than in the previous 30 years. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson, but it was a lesson they needed to learn. Humans had never been just support staff. They had been the foundation, and now the foundation was gone. 8 months after the humans left, the Galactic Council no longer existed in any meaningful way. Admiral Minyu watched the news from his command ship orbiting Earth. Every report brought worse news from Council space. The galactic economy had completely collapsed. The currency that had been stable for 500 years was now worthless. Banks failed. Businesses closed. Billions lost their savings overnight. The reason was simple. Humans had been the only species that understood multi-species economics. They had managed the complex interactions between different currencies, different values, different trading systems. They had made it work through careful balancing and constant adjustment. Without them, nobody could agree on what anything was worth. A merchant would price goods in his currency. A buyer would convert to her currency using old exchange rates, but those rates were wrong without human oversight. Deals fell apart. Trust evaporated. Trade stopped. Minyu read a report from the former Council Economic Zone. 12 species had declared war over resource disputes. These were conflicts that human negotiators had quietly prevented for decades. Now there were no human negotiators, and old grievances erupted into violence. His communication officer, Lieutenant Lee, brought him another message. "Admiral, it's from the Council. Another plea for assistance." "How many is that this week?" 217, sir." Minyu shook his head. "Delete it." "Sir, this one is from Emergency Director. He says the situation is desperate. Should I at least read it to you? Minu sighed. Go ahead. Read the message. Admiral, I am begging you. The Nexus station will fail within days. Environmental systems are critical. Life support is at 30%. We have 19,000 residents who will die if we cannot fix this. Please send engineers. We will pay anything. We will give you anything, please, Director. The bridge crew was quiet. 19,000 lives. It was hard to ignore. Respond with this, Minu said. Director, for 8 months you have tried to prove you do not need humans. I suggest you continue trying. You have our technical manuals, you have our instruction guides, you have everything except our people. Good luck, Admiral. Sent the message. She looked troubled, but she did not argue. They all knew this was necessary. The news got worse. Pirates and raiders were everywhere now. For 2 centuries, human peacekeeping fleets had kept space lanes safe. They had hunted pirates. They had protected trade ships. They had responded to distress calls within hours. Now there were no human peacekeepers. The Council had tried to create their own security forces, but it was a disaster. Different species could not coordinate. They argued about jurisdiction. They fought over command. By the time they agreed on a response plan, the pirates were long gone. Shipping companies hired private security. This made things worse. Security forces from different species fought each other. Some security companies became pirates themselves. Chaos spread. But the worst crisis was medical. The plague that started on the had spread to 12 systems. 80 million were infected. Millions had died. The disease was not particularly deadly by human medical standards. Human doctors could have controlled it easily, but there were no human doctors. Doctors tried everything. They used their own medicine. They consulted databases. They asked other species for help. Nothing worked. The disease spread faster than they could treat it. A desperate delegation sent a message directly to Earth's president. They offered their entire planetary treasury. They offered ancient technology. They offered to become Earth's servants, anything for human medical help. President Nam read their message in her office. She was a hard woman who had fought her way up from poverty. She did not make decisions based on emotion. What do you think? She asked her advisors. 80 million infected, one advisor said. Millions dying, we could save them. We could, agreed. But should we? For 200 years we saved billions. We asked for simple respect in return. We received contempt. Now they want our help again. Why should we give it? Another advisor spoke up. Madam President, there is a strategic consideration. If the species collapses, it could destabilize their entire sector. The ripple effects could reach Earth. Thought about it? Finally, she shook her head. No, Earth is safe. We have strong defenses, strong economy, strong allies among the few species that treated us well. We do not need the Council. They need us. Let them remember that. She sent a formal response. The United Earth government sympathizes with the crisis. However, Earth's medical resources are currently committed to our own citizens and our chosen allies. We wish you the best in resolving your situation. The response was cold but clear. Earth would not help. They were on their own. On Nexus Station, the evacuation began. Director had held out hope until the last moment. Hope that the repairs would work. Hope that the humans would relent. Hope that somehow everything would be okay. But the environmental systems failed completely. Life support was down to 15%. Temperature controls were gone. The air was turning toxic. There was no choice. 19,000 residents scrambled for evacuation ships. There was panic. There were fights. Some died in the crush. Watched his station die and felt shame. He had been so sure they could manage without humans. He had been so wrong. The last ship left Nexus Station 6 hours before complete system failure. Was on it. He watched through the window as the station's lights flickered and died. 200 years of galactic cooperation. ended because they had taken humans for granted. Across the former council space, similar scenes played out: stations abandoned, colonies evacuated, systems failing. The galactic civilization that had stood for was collapsing in months. On Earth, former ambassador watched the news with Specialist Lee. She had been a crisis negotiator for 30 years. She had prevented countless wars and disasters. Now she grew flowers in her garden and tried not to think about the chaos. "Do you think we were too harsh?" she asked. He considered the question. "We gave them 200 years. We asked for so little, just basic recognition, just simple respect. They could not even give us that. No, we were not too harsh. We were patient far longer than we should have been." But the plague, those people did nothing wrong. They are dying because of their leaders' mistakes. "That is true of every civilization," said. "Citizens suffer when leaders fail. It is tragic, but it is not our responsibility to save them from their own choices." Went back to her flowers, was right, she knew, but it still hurt. Admiral Menu received one more message that day. It was from Chancellor, the proud, arrogant leader who had laughed at humanity's withdrawal. The message was short. "You were right, we were wrong, we are sorry, please help us." Menu sent an even shorter response: "No." On Earth, life went on. Children played in parks. Scientists made breakthroughs without sharing them with ungrateful aliens. Engineers built amazing things for their own people. Artists created beauty for their own culture. The resources that had supported an entire galaxy now supported one world, and that world flourished. In space, the former Galactic Council struggled to survive. Some species adapted, some collapsed, some fought each other, some begged Earth for mercy. Earth watched and waited. The lesson was not yet learned, but it would be, eventually. The galaxy was discovering what it meant to live without humans. It was discovering that human patience had been a gift, not a weakness. That human work had been essential, not ordinary. That human generosity had held everything together. Now that generosity was gone, and the galaxy burned. 1 year after the humans left, a small ship approached Earth. It carried 5 delegates from what remained of the Galactic Council. They came to beg. High Delegate Sumi met them at Earth's orbital station. She was nothing like the gentle diplomats who had served before. Sumi had been a prosecutor before joining the diplomatic corps. She was sharp, direct, and had no patience for nonsense. The delegates were led by High Arbiter Quinzha. She was one of the few council members who had treated humans with respect. With her came representatives from 4 other species, each desperate for Earth's help. Sumi greeted them with perfect politeness and zero warmth. "Welcome to Earth. Please follow me to the conference room." They walked through the station in silence. The delegates stared at everything. The station was new, built in the year since withdrawal. It was enormous and beautiful, filled with technology more advanced than anything in council space. Quinzha noticed that every worker they passed was human. No alien laborers, no foreign technicians. Earth was doing everything itself now, and doing it better. In the conference room, Sumi sat across from the delegates. She did not offer refreshments. She did not make small talk. She simply said, "You have 30 minutes, speak." Quinzha began. "High Delegate Sumi, thank you for seeing us. We come with sincere apologies. The council was wrong. We treated humanity poorly. We took your contributions for granted. We dismissed your value. We were fools." "Yes," Sumi agreed, "you were." An awkward silence followed. The delegates had expected Sumi to soften, to say the past was forgotten. She did not. Quinzha continued. "We are here to ask humanity to return to the council. We need you. The galaxy needs you. Without your expertise, everything is falling apart." "I have noticed," Sumi said. "I read the reports: economic collapse, multiple wars, medical crises, station failures. Quite a year you have had." "We cannot fix it without you," said a delegate named On. He had been the engineer who replaced. His confidence from a year ago was completely gone. We have tried. Every species has tried, but we do not have your abilities. We do not have your knowledge. We need human help. What you need, Sumi said coldly, is not my concern. Please, Quinzha said. We understand you are angry. We deserve your anger, but there are billions suffering. Innocent people who did nothing wrong. Will you let them die to punish their leaders? Sumi leaned forward. You let them suffer for 200 years and never cared. Human medical teams saved billions and you barely noticed. Human engineers kept your stations running and you never thanked them. Human diplomats prevented countless wars and you took credit for the peace. Now you care about suffering because it affects you personally. The delegates looked down. They had no defense. Elder Oke, an ancient being from a species nearly extinct, spoke next. His voice was quiet but carried weight. Young human, you are right to be angry. Your species was treated shamefully, but anger alone will not build a better future. What do you want? What would it take for humanity to help the galaxy again? Sumi respected Oke. His species had always treated humans well. She softened slightly. The Council has sent us hundreds of messages this year. They offered money. They offered technology. They offered memberships and seats and titles. None of those offers addressed the real problem. What is the real problem? Quinzha asked. You still do not see us as equals, Sumi said. You see us as valuable servants, useful tools. You want us back because we are effective, not because you respect us. That is not good enough anymore. Then what would be good enough? Quinzha asked. Tell us, we will do anything. Sumi pulled out a document. She slid it across the table. President Nam has outlined Earth's terms for re-engagement with galactic civilization. Read them. The delegates read together. With each paragraph, their faces showed more shock. The terms were harsh. Humanity would receive 40% of all council seats. Earth would have veto power over all major decisions. Humans would control key institutions like communications, medical services, and peacekeeping. Other species would pay reparations for 200 years of exploitation. Humans would work at rates they set, on projects they chose. This is outrageous, On said. You are asking to rule the galaxy. No, Sumi said. We are asking to be senior partners in a new galactic order. You ruled the galaxy you proved you cannot do it without us. So now we will do it together, with humans in leadership roles. This would make you the dominant species, another delegate protested. We would be subordinate to humans. Yes, Sumi agreed. Just as we were subordinate to you for 200 years. The difference is, we will actually appreciate your contributions. We will not take you for granted. We will treat you as valued partners, even if we have more authority. Quinzha read the terms again carefully. Finally, she looked up. These terms are steep. Many species will refuse them. Then those species can continue managing without us, Sumi said. We do not need the galaxy. The galaxy needs us. Either accept that reality or do not. We will be fine either way. Elder Oke chuckled, a dry sound like wind through dead leaves. She is right, Quinzha. Look around. Earth is thriving. They have taken all the resources they spent on us and invested them at home. They have advanced faster in 1 year than in the previous 50. They do not need us. He turned to Sumi. Young human, your terms are harsh but fair. Humans earned this position through 2 centuries of service. You should demand even more. You have shown restraint. Sumi was surprised. You think we should ask for more? I have lived for 4,000 years, Oke said. I have seen many civilizations rise and fall. I know what makes a species truly advanced. It is not technology, it is not military power. It is the ability to cooperate, to work hard, to delay gratification for long-term good. Humans have these qualities in abundance. You always were the superior species. Your only weakness was kindness. You gave and gave, asking nothing in return. That time is over. Good. The other delegates looked uncomfortable, but they could not argue. Every word was true. So, Quinzha said slowly, if we accept these terms, humanity will return. If the Council formally accepts these terms in a binding treaty, yes, Sumi confirmed. We will restore communication networks. We will send medical teams. We will deploy peacekeepers. We will rebuild the galactic economy. But we will do it as leaders, not servants. The Council is fractured, Quinzha said. Many members have left. Some will never accept these terms. Then build a new council with species that will, Sumi said. We do not need everyone, just those willing to accept reality. The delegates looked at each other. They had come hopping to negotiate better terms. They were realizing there would be no negotiation, accept or refuse. Those were the only options. I will take these terms back to what remains of the council, Quinzha said. I will recommend acceptance. It is the only way forward. Some will fight this, On warned. Some will say it is better to collapse completely than submit to human rule. Then they will collapse, Sumi said, and they will watch as the species who joined us prosper. The meeting ended. As the delegates left, OK paused. He spoke to Sumi privately. I am glad your species finally stopped being so generous, he said. Generosity without self-respect is not virtue, it is weakness. Now you show both strength and wisdom. The galaxy will be better for it. Sumi watched them leave. She felt no triumph, only tiredness. They should not have needed to withdraw. The council should have treated them well from the start, but here they were. President called her that evening. How did it go? As expected, Sumi said. They will take our terms back. Some will accept. Some will refuse. We will see what happens. Good said, we have been patient long enough. Now we lead on our terms. Yes, Madam President, on our terms. 18 months after humanity from the galaxy, everything changed again. Ambassador Bay stood at the podium of the newly rebuilt council chamber. It was on Earth now, not Nexus Station. The old station had been abandoned, a floating tomb to galactic arrogance. The chamber was only half full. Many species had refused to accept Earth's terms. They chose pride over survival. Their civilizations continued to collapse while they watched from a distance. But 63 species had agreed. 63 species had swallowed their pride and accepted that humans would now lead. These species sat before now, waiting to hear their future. Was different from, where had been patient and gentle, was direct and firm. He had no interest in making aliens comfortable. His job was to rebuild galactic civilization on human terms. Welcome to the first assembly of the Terran Concordat, he began. The Galactic Council is dead. It died the day it decided human contributions did not matter. What we build today will be different, better, stronger. The assembled aliens listened in silence. Some looked ashamed, some looked resentful, all looked desperate. The old council failed because it had no accountability, continued. Species took what they wanted and gave nothing back. They expected others to do difficult work while they enjoyed the benefits. This created resentment and inequality. The Terran Concordat will be different. He outlined the new structure. Humans would hold 40% of seats as agreed. They would control key institutions. But other species would have real power too, more than they had held in the old council. The difference was that power came with responsibility. Every species would contribute according to their abilities. Freeloading was over. Counselor Al, a young who had fought hard for reform, stood to speak. Ambassador Bay, my species has concerns. Under the old council, we were one of the senior members. Under these new rules, we have less formal power. Some of my people feel this is unfair. Looked at him steadily. Counselor, your species had more formal power before, but what did you do with it? Did you maintain the communication networks? Did you provide medical care? Did you keep the peace? No, you sat in comfortable seats and made speeches while humans did the actual work. Now you have less formal power but more actual responsibility. That is not unfair. That is honest. Al sat down. He could not argue because it was true. The reforms continued rapidly. Human engineers restored the communication networks within weeks. Messages that had taken days now took seconds again. Trade began to flow. Human medical teams deployed across the Concordat. The plague was brought under control in 2 months. Millions were saved. But this time, when species tried to take credit, humans corrected them publicly. The galaxy learned to say thank you or face consequences. Human peacekeepers took control of security. The pirate problem was solved within 3 months. Admiral Song led the campaign personally. His fleet was fast, efficient, and absolutely ruthless with criminals. Space lanes became safe again. But not everyone was happy with the new order. Warlord ruled a small but aggressive empire that had refused to join the Concordat. He had watched humanity's rise with growing anger. Humans were weak, he believed. Soft. They succeeded through trickery and manipulation, not real strength. He decided to prove this. He assembled a fleet of 300 warships, the largest military force outside the Concordat. He set course for Earth. "We will show these humans what real power looks like," he told his officers. "They have grown arrogant. We will humble them and take their technology. Then we will rule the galaxy as it should be ruled, through strength." His fleet arrived in Earth's system confident and eager for battle. They found Admiral waiting with a fleet half their size. Laughed, "The humans cannot even muster a proper defense. This will be easy." It was not easy. It was a massacre. Humans had spent 200 years holding back their military strength. They had kept peace through diplomacy and patience, not because they lacked the ability to fight. Now they showed what they could really do. The battle lasted 47 minutes. His fleet was destroyed so quickly that most of his ships never got a shot off. Human weapons were faster, more accurate, and more powerful than anything the galaxy had seen. Human tactics were flawless. Human ships moved like they were dancing. His flagship was disabled and boarded. He was arrested and brought before a Concordat tribunal. He sat in chains, still not believing what had happened. "How?" he asked. "How did you destroy my fleet so easily?" Looked at him with something like pity. "You thought we were weak because we chose peace. You thought our patience was cowardice. You were wrong. We kept peace because we were strong enough to enforce it. We held back because we did not want to hurt anyone, but you attacked our home, so we showed you what we can really do." "You tricked us," said bitterly. "You pretended to be weak." "No," said. "We were always honest about our capabilities. You just never paid attention. You saw janitors and doctors and diplomats. You never wondered what else we could be." Was sentenced to life imprisonment. His empire was dissolved and absorbed into the Concordat. The galaxy learned another lesson that day. Humans were not to be threatened. The news of the battle spread quickly. Species that had been considering challenging Earth's authority changed their minds. Some that had refused to join the Concordat sent new requests. Reviewed each request carefully. Some were accepted, others were rejected. Earth did not need everyone, only those willing to participate honestly. 6 months after the Concordat's founding, High Arbiter Quinzha met with privately. She had become one of Earth's closest allies, helping bridge the gap between humans and other species. "How does it feel," she asked, "to have gone from servants to rulers in less than 2 years?" Considered the question. "We are not rulers, we are leaders. There is a difference. Rulers take power for themselves. Leaders use power to help everyone." "A noble distinction," Quinzha said. "I hope you can maintain it." "So do I," said honestly. "Power corrupts. We know this. That is why we have built in checks and balances. That is why we welcome input from allied species. We do not want to become what the old council was." "The old council would never have admitted that concern," Quinzha observed. "Perhaps that is why you will succeed where it failed." The Terran Concordat grew stronger each month. Trade flourished under human management. Peace held under human enforcement. Innovation accelerated under human leadership. But the greatest change was cultural. Species learned to value all kinds of work. Engineers received honors alongside diplomats. Doctors were celebrated like warriors. Maintenance workers were respected like scientists. The galaxy learned what Earth had always known. All work has dignity. All contributions matter. Success comes from cooperation, not domination. On Earth, in a small garden, Lee tended her flowers and read the news. The galaxy was stable again. People were safe. Life was good. Visited her one afternoon. He had fully retired now, spending his days writing a history of human-alien relations. "Do you think we did the right thing?" asked him. "Withdrawing, I mean, so many people suffered." "They were already suffering," said. "We just made it visible, and now things are better, not perfect but better. Yes, we did the right thing. I still feel guilty sometimes." "That is because you are human," said gently. "We care about others even when they do not care about us. That is our strength and our weakness, but we have learned balance now. We help, but we also demand respect. We give, but we also receive. That is healthier." Nodded, he was right. The galaxy was better now, and humanity was better too. Across the stars, in the council chamber on Earth, addressed the Concordat for the final time that year. "We have accomplished much," he said, "but we must never forget the lessons that brought us here. We must never take each other for granted. We must never assume that anyone's work is unimportant. We must never forget that civilization is built by everyone, not just those in charge." He paused and looked across the chamber. The Galactic Council collapsed because it forgot these truths. The Terran Concordat will thrive because we remember them, not because humans are better than everyone else, but because we learned through hardship what others learned through loss. We are all in this together now. Let us build something worthy of that partnership. The chamber erupted in applause, real applause full of genuine respect and hope. The galaxy had learned, and humanity would make sure it never forgot.